Lesson 8.4, Slopes and Intercepts. In the last lesson, we discussed the slope-intercept form of an equation, which is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we want to identify the slope and the y-intercept from an equation. I have some equations. The first two are already in slope-intercept form, so it's pretty simple. We point to the coefficient on the x, that is the slope, and the constant is the y-intercept. Again, the coefficient on the x is the slope, and the constant is the y-intercept. If we have equations in standard form, we must first convert them to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to move the 4x over. I have negative 7y is equal to negative 4x because I switched sides, I switched signs, plus 21. I divide everything by negative 7, and I get that y is equal to 4/7 x minus 3, where my slope is 4/7 and my y-intercept is negative 3. Or I can subtract the x from both sides, giving me 2y is equal to negative 3x plus 6. I divide everything by 2, which gives me y is equal to negative 3/2 plus 3. Oh, sorry, 3/2 x. Here is my slope, and here is my y-intercept. Oh, I didn't realize I had two more examples. Well, we'll just skip those. Finding the slope, if we know any 2 points of the line, we can find the slope of the line. First, we can find that from a graph. Finding the graph, we don't actually have to do much any calculation, we just count. We move along until we find a point on the graph, and points occur where the line passes through the crosshatch perfectly. Then we count 1, 2, 3, 4. So we go up 4 and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and over 5. So our slope is rise over run. We went up 4, so that's positive 4, and we went over 5. So our slope is 4/5. On this graph, we move along. Here's a perfect point. Here's a perfect point. I go down 2 and then over 1. So my slope, I went down, so it's negative. So that is negative 2. We can also find the slope from two coordinates using the slope formula, which is slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So first, I'm going to rewrite my equation. Next, I'm going to label my points. My coordinates are x, y, so I'm going to call this one x1 and this one y1. And I will call this one x2 and this one y2. When you have a subscript like this, it's not an exponent. It just indicates that this x is different than that x. So here's my x, first x, second x. So now that I have labeled my coordinates, I'm going to plug them in. So I have y2, that's 6, minus y1, which is negative 4. And then I have x2, which is negative 5, minus x1, which is 3. Two negatives make a positive. See, he's happy, that's positive. So I have 6 plus 4 over negative 5 minus 3. That gives me 10 over negative 8. And we don't leave negatives in the denominator, we bring them out front. 10 and 8 are both even, so they'll divide by 2. So my slope will be negative 5/4. Identifying x and y intercepts. An intercept is the point on a graph when the line crosses either the x or the y axis. Now, I identified a y-intercept in slope-intercept form, but we can identify intercepts in other ways as well. From a graph, we have the x-intercept, and this occurs where the graph crosses the x-axis and the value of y will be 0. And in this case, it's x equals 2, y equals 0. Our y-intercept occurs where the graph crosses the y-axis and the value of x will be 0. So here I have y is 4 and x is 0. We can also write these as an ordered pair like this. Okay, finding the x and y intercepts from linear equations. The x-intercept occurs when y is 0. So I can take the y term out and solve for x. So the x-intercept is going to be 10. The y-intercept occurs when x is 0. So I can take the x term out and solve for y. And I will get that the y-intercept is 6. So my x-intercept is going to be 10, 0, and my y-intercept is going to be 0, 6. Again, the x-intercept occurs when y is 0, so I can solve this for x. So I divide both sides by 6, and 16 does not divide by 6, however they are both even, so I'll get 8 over 3. And my y-intercept occurs where x is 0, so I have negative 8y equals 16. Divide by negative 8, and y will be negative 2. So my x-intercept is 8/3, 0, and my y-intercept is 0, negative 2. What I would like for you to do is pause the video for a moment and go ahead and try to solve these other two on your own. Find the x and y intercept. And when you've finished, unpause the video and check your answers to see how you did. Okay, so check your answers, see how you did. If you need to take a moment and look at these and see if you can find your mistake, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the end.